confetti's still in the air, but the EuroLeague champions are still hungry. The battle for the Israeli championship is on the horizon, and the chances of finishing this historic season by winning all possible titles are better than ever. Israeli Yellow Nation begins now. About a week after shocking all of Europe and winning the EuroLeague championship against all the odds, Maccabi Electra Tel Aviv begins the battle for the Israeli title against defending champs Maccabi Haifa.
We got the title of the Winner Cup, the Israeli Cup, and the European Cup. Now we need to add to it the Israeli Championship. It's our bread and butter.
It's a final. We know how it's important this for us. Last year we lost championship. We want to bring it back.
This year, the championship format is a little odd, to say the least. The teams play 2 games, one in Haifa and one in Tel Aviv. If each team wins one game, the winner is decided based on which team won by more points.
We are playing in a very ugly system. We see what happens now in Italy. It's best of 7, and here it's 2 games and the point difference. This is not a good system.
Maccabi Haifa, who took the championship last season after a single dramatic game against Maccabi Tel Aviv, have the Israeli League's MVP Dante Smith in their arsenal. But the Yellows are determined to bring the title home. Haifa starts well and goes up 5-0, but the momentum changes hands. Sofo does as he pleases under the basket. Hickman shows the great form he had in Milan, and of course, Tyrese Rice sinks a buzzer beater to end the first quarter with Maccabi up 27-19. The trend continues in the second quarter, with Rice scoring from all over the court. Dante Smith and Brian Randall are the only ones keeping Haifa in the game. By the end of the half, they each have 14 points. But the MVP of the EuroLeague Final Four, Tyrese Rice, is unstoppable with 15 points in the first half, leading Maccabi to 47-37 at the break. Coming out of the locker room, Haifa wants to prove that they aren't about to surrender the title so easily. Randall and Smith continue to shine, leading a comeback that ties the score at 57. But Rice heads a 10-0 run that puts Maccabi up 69-62 at the end of the third period. With the tension at its peak, the Greens have one last chance to get back in the game. 3-pointers by Smith and Yavzuri tie the score at 70 with 4 minutes left in the game. Maccabi, well-versed in these kinds of situations, is unfazed. Veteran David Blue scores 5 points in the last 2 minutes of the game, bringing Maccabi an 81-77 victory and a 4-point advantage going into Game 2. Rice, who was named Game MVP, finishes with a season-high 30 points.
I don't think it was anything that we haven't done all year. I mean, we just met the challenge. You know, we stayed resilient. We didn't get down when they went on their runs. And, you know, we made the correct plays in the end. I mean, our goal is to win the game. We win, and we go in there on Wednesday, we win again. The point margin doesn't matter.
Came down to who wanted it more and little execution. So, you know, we did a better job at the end of the game, and we were able to get the win.
True playoff game and a true decisive game. So that was The reason for the intensity, for the physicality, and I think for the great motivation on the part of both teams. Gives us a small advantage, and now we get to go home and play in front of our crowd and play in our friendly environment, and I hope we take advantage of it.
The biggest night of the Israeli League season has arrived. The game for the jackpot. Maccabi Tel Aviv against Maccabi Haifa, facing off in the game for the title. Maccabi Tel Aviv comes into the game with a 4-point advantage from the last game, which means that even if they lose by 3 points, they will win the championship. The game gets off to a close start, with Terrence Roderick on one side and Ricky Hickman on the other, keeping their teams in the game. The first quarter ends with Tel Aviv holding a slim 18-17 lead. The second period gets underway with a 9-0 run by Haifa. But Rice quickly gets busy and scores 6 straight points. Ingle adds a triple at the buzzer to put the Yellows up 38-37 at halftime. Maccabi Haifa star Dante Smith comes out of the break on fire, scoring from all over the court and giving Haifa a 56-47 lead. 3-pointers by Pnini and Ingles get Tel Aviv back into the game, and the period ends with Haifa clinging to a 59-56 lead. Not enough to secure them the title. Next on Israeli Yellow Nation, the most crucial moments of the entire season. The most crucial 10 minutes of the season get underway. Rice is fantastic as the final quarter gets started, and Tel Aviv goes on a 10-2 scoring run that puts them on top 66-61. Instead of breaking down, Haifa shows a lot of character, with Dagan Yavzuri sinking a crazy 3 to make it 77-72 Haifa. With 2 minutes on the clock, Haifa has a big enough lead to take the championship. Baskets by Ricky Hickman and Dante Smith result in a 79-75 lead for Haifa. Factoring in Tel Aviv's lead from the last game, the score is, in essence, tied. The Yellows take the ball with 2.5 seconds left. A miss by David Blue leads to a putback by Devin Smith at the buzzer, and the fans are ecstatic. But a second look by the referees leads to a no-basket decision, and the game goes to overtime. Maccabi ties the score at 80 early in the extra period, but Haifa refuses to give up, taking an 84-82 lead. With 14 seconds left on the clock, a steal by the Greens can help them tie or win the game. Dante Smith, Haifa's star and the league MVP, drives to the basket, but a huge block by Alex Tyus from out of nowhere ends the game. The Yellows lose the game by 2, but win the championship thanks to their 4-point victory in the first game. And Maccabi Electra Tel Aviv becomes the Israeli champions for the 51st time.
I'm just so proud of this team, how we competed this whole season, and to win the Israeli championship is like the icing on the cake.
I brought you a bottle of champagne for everybody. And when I'm done talking, I want everybody to have a drink because you deserve it. All right? Please. Please. You can have 2, you can have 10. We're going to pour some champagne for everybody. And I'm gonna tell you why, guys. One of the truly great years in the history of this club. You guys are all now part of the legacy of this great club. Today was the 100th title, the 100th title in the history of this club and the 51st championship, and your name is all over it.
Yeah, buddy.
I want to say two things. I want to first of all say, if I hurt anybody this year in any way, it wasn't personal, and I apologize. And together with that, I want to say thank you, because you guys are truly the greatest group of guys I ever coached. Thank you. Congratulations.
New York City, the Big Apple, one of the largest commercial and economic centers in the world. Every year, the international newspaper, the Jerusalem Post, organizes an extensive conference at the Marriott Hotel on economic, social, and political subjects relating to Israel. This year, one of the main attractions of the conference is Maccabi Electra Tel Aviv.
Well, Maccabi Tel Aviv is one of the banners of the State of Israel even before it was established. It was excellence. It was something that, along many other activities, was an integral part of establishing the Jewish state after 2,000 years.
It's a good team, obviously. I spent 10 years in Israel when I was a young kid, and that was my favorite team. And nowadays I still continue to follow it, and I try to make sure that my son is familiar with them too. I think that the Jewish young generation, that's important because that's something to aspire to. To get a team that's Jewish and that can compete internationally is important.
5 seconds left in regulation. Parker, baseline right, fall away, got it! With 8/10 of a second to go.
In recent years, the Israeli club has turned its attention to the nation of basketball, the United States, and towards millions of Jewish basketball fans who are filled with excitement each time Maccabi comes to the U.S. to play against an NBA team.
More games they play, especially in the New York City metro area, the better, because this is one of the largest Jewish populations outside of Israel in the world, and this is just in a small part of the United States. So I have tons of friends that are Jewish and love watching basketball. So I think having more programs, run seminars, practices, and trying to reach more kids rather than adults, because the kids are the future.
Through the years, Maccabi's been a great ambassador for Israel. We travel all around the world, all over Europe. We want to play more and more games against NBA teams and become more of an international team. And that way we can show Israel's other sides, more fun side, more entertainment side, show that we can do great things other than the things they talk about in the news all the time. If you were in the game in Maccabi Tel Aviv against the Knicks a few years ago, you would have seen that Maccabi sold out the Madison Square Garden. And I think that tells the whole story. I mean, when we come over to the U.S., we have great support here from the local community.
I think that's a great honor for Israeli basketball. There are not too many teams that can fill up 18,600 in Madison Square Garden. Pretty soon it's going to be announced officially about our game against the Brooklyn Nets. And for sure we'll fill up that stadium in Brooklyn quite quickly, and we'll be in Cleveland. We should be in Cleveland also in October. So I think it's great that the fact that the NBA wants an Israeli team, Maccabi Tel Aviv, to come into the United States and play. So that's fantastic.
The state of Israel is most often referred to in the world media as a country of endless wars. One of the main goals of the Yellow Club is to show that there are other and wonderful things there.
For our young people, I want them to know that basketball is not only played in Israel, but played at a very high caliber. Not because it's basketball, because it's beyond the conflict. If you want to turn on the young people today in the diaspora, it's not talking about the borders and the conflict of land. It's talking about the real spirit that they can understand, the relevant issues, and Maccabi Tel Aviv gives that opportunity.
Jewish pride in the state of Israel, the sportsmanship represented by the highest ethical values, and it's the public face of the state of Israel throughout the world who see a dimension to Israel that ordinarily most people don't naturally associate Israel with, but by extension most Americans can identify with, and that is sports. Sports is a unifier.
Maccabi itself represents, the Jewish people as a whole. It symbolizes Geburah, it symbolizes strength, it symbolizes, who we are. The more you're out there, the more people will pay attention, and they'll jump at it. It's Israel. It's everybody loves it.
Next on Israeli Yellow Nation, David Blatt parts way with Maccabi and heads for the best league in the world.
Well, today I'm leaving home, but I'm not leaving the family. Maccabi Electric Tel Aviv has been a big part of my personal and professional life. It's been a dream of mine for almost forever to go and join a team in the NBA in some capacity. I wish I could have done it as a player. I wasn't good enough.
After 9 years with Maccabi Electra Tel Aviv, and after a momentous season in which he claimed all possible titles with the team, David Blatt decides that he is going to move on to the greatest challenge there is, and accepts a position as the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
A big part of my ability to achieve what I've achieved in terms of where I'm going and what I'm going to do comes from having been a part of Maccabi. I'm very appreciative and very, very loyal to the team, to the organization, as a result of the fact that I'm in their debt. I was a centimeter away from signing with the Golden State Warriors. I even had a contract in place. All the terms were agreed upon. I had met with Steve Kerr and had several conversations on how we were going to do things. When I received an offer from the Cleveland Cavaliers to come in to interview, he allowed me to go in to interview. I wouldn't have been sorry if it had turned out that way, because I was very, very excited about joining him on that very good team, helping him in his journey to being a successful coach. But then the opportunity came and I went to interview, and right now, the rest is history.
We all know how desperate the Cavaliers are to be a playoff team. Does this move get them closer to that goal?
In the United States, the decision to hire a European coach with no NBA experience seems a questionable choice.
Blatt's been coaching and playing in Europe for his entire professional career. He's never coached in the States, so what do the Cavs see in this guy?
And there's no doubt I bring something different, and I think that's one of the main reasons I got hired. And credit to the Cleveland Cavaliers that they understood and felt the need for a change, a kind of a fresh breath, a different approach, a risk with the possibility of great reward. When someone with a great basketball background and a great set of experiences in terms of tradition of winning in history comes into their program and can offer some of that. It was a championship for all ages, perhaps against all odds, and most importantly, was received in such a way with such joy and such happiness and pride of all the people of all the country and of people around the world that it made it that much more meaningful. Again, I've been part of many, many championship teams, but there was something so special about last year's championship run that I know will last in the hearts of people and in the minds of people for a long, long time. Isn't that amazing? You know, you see something like that and you understand the great power of Maccabi and the confidence that we all have and the belief that we all have in what we're doing, because there's so many people behind us, people who are dedicated, committed, and passionate about what we represent and what we accomplish. So, you know, that in and of itself makes it all worthwhile. I'll take Maccabi wherever I go. I'll represent Maccabi and Israel, every place that I will be a part of. And without question, that gives me strength and an advantage over almost everyone.
Off in the game for them. Back with cleanup, but he loses the ball. David Blue steals it. Tyrese Rice to the rim. Puts it down. Maccabi's ahead. 67-68. 5.5 seconds left. Teodosic to Weems to win it. Off the mark. And Maccabi, Electra Tel Aviv takes the semifinal.
Maccabi Electra Tel Aviv finishes what is, without a doubt, one of the greatest seasons ever in the history of the club. The EuroLeague champions thrill and dazzle the entire country and millions of fans around the world. This fall, you can meet the team's stars face-to-face on October 5th and 7th when they come to the U.S. to play the Cleveland Cavaliers led by David Blatt and the Brooklyn Nets. See you soon when we bring you the new season of Israeli Yellow Nation.
Well, I got a new girlfriend. She's very lovely. Very nice. She looks nice, right? The curves on her. Look at the curves on her. It's amazing. Yo, get off my girl, dog. Man, this is...